So, the last video, execution, I know it was very involved, and trust me, if you're feeling overwhelmed, that is completely normal. I'm willing to go over things one-on-one with people or find someone more effective than me to teach. But anyway, this is gonna be the last video in the 5 paragraph orders. And trust me, you are going to absolutely love these sections. So the fourth paragraph is called Administration and Logistics. So we're going to just put that over here. And oh, once again, I don't like that change the font size, and the color. So let's fix that up. And then I think I have like an ugly brown. Actually, brown is one of my favorite colors. But okay. So in OSMEAC, the A, lucky you, has two like subcategories, administration and logistics. Now, you might have heard about this handy saying called beans, bullets, band-aids, bad guys. But people say it in like different ways. They might say bad guys, band-aids, bullets, and beans. No. So that's good to know, but there's actually a little bit of an easier way to construct this. So just as there's administration as like the first subcategory, there's logistics. And the way I like to think about it is that in both administration and logistics, there's something geared towards like your friendly forces, and then something geared more towards your enemy forces. So just know that administration is like people and personnel, and then logistics is like things and equipment. So if you have people, the acronym that is in people is band-aids and bad guys. Now, I like to put friendly forces first, okay? So in the event of a casualty, execute self-buddy aid. Squad leaders determine your wounded in action, killed in action, designated fire teams. Travel to the medical station and report to the company corpsman. All right, what does that mean? Let's break it down. So let's bring up this. Spread cross, it's kind of like a universal symbol for anything to do with medical. Now, at OCS, your corpsman isn't going to be traveling with you throughout the woods. They're going to be back here. This is like formal language in the event of a casualty, but I like to start it off that way. Now, in case you do not know, casualty does not mean just someone that was killed or died. It can mean injury and killed in action. But injury is more so like either a mortal injury or something that takes you out of combat. So it's not going to be like a scratch in your finger, you know? Now, what does this mean? Execute self-buddy aid. All right, well, if you've ever been on a plane and the flight attendant is going over emergency procedures with the mask, we all know, put the mask on yourself before someone else. And that's not selfish. That's actually like, how are you going to help someone else if you then pass out? So at TBS, you'll have combat kits and stuff like gauze, tourniquets, all that stuff. I don't really know if they do that at OCS, I forget, but basically you just want to tell people that, listen, if something happens, you're shot, someone else is shot, you take care of yourself first, you know, stop your bleeding, all that stuff. You're not actually going to do that at OCS. And then you're going to help out your buddy. At TBS, I went like a level further. I said something like, upon effective enemy suppression, you know, then you could help your buddies. But, you know, the military can be a cruel, cruel world where mission is first. But in this way, remember how in this scenario, it's our platoon commander giving us this order? Well, this is still very applicable advice to your fire team. Just as like above, we were taking out stuff and changing it, admin and logistics, it pretty much stays the same, except look at this. Your platoon commander is saying squad leaders determine your wounded in action, killed in action, designated fire teams. Well, you're the squad leader, you have to do it. So, the way people usually do it, so you see I have fire team 1, 2, and 3. Okay, wounded in action, killed in action. That means they're down, they need to be carried. So the military strategy is you want to pick out your least favorite fire team to be the person that carries them. And that is obviously a joke because you could pick out a fire team, but at least when I was at TBS, so I weighed like, I got really skinny. I weighed like 118 pounds like by the end, and I'm 5'9", so very, very skinny. Whatever fire team I was on, I was always the person that would lift somebody. I was never the casualty. They weren't going to let my squad mates get off that easily and have them carry me. No, we were carrying the biggest person. But let's say in a perfect world, you hate second fire team. So we're going to say second fire team. You are the designated casualty fire team. And then you could say like upon casualty contact, which is a fancy way of just saying when you see your buddy hurt or killed, you will transport then wherever it is back to the company assembly area to the company corpsman. Don't say corpsman, it's corpsman. Okay. You don't have to like memorize this stuff. You always know that any wounded in action, they're going to be brought back to here and they're going to be at the assembly area. Then, okay, yeah, so we designated our fire team and we reported to the company corpsman. So keep it simple. All right, so that was our I said what I said. All right, so then that was like the friendly oriented like part of administration. Now let's go to like the enemy. Okay, in the event of EPW acquisition, now, in case anyone doesn't know, I know you've heard of POWs, prisoner of war. Technically, an enemy can be a prisoner of war, but we're going to make a distinction, enemy, prisoner of war, because you're going to treat them a little different than your own team, because, they're going to have things like maps, compasses, all that stuff taken. And this doesn't mean they're necessarily injured. It just means that they've been captured. Okay, so in the event of EPW acquisition, okay, once again, squad leaders determine your EPW designated fire teams. Okay, so let's do that. So just as we hate second fire team for no apparent reason, we're going to say that we absolutely love our third fire team. So we'll say third fire team will be responsible for any, I'm gonna say transfer of custody, something like that. And don't sweat it. You can even just say third fire team will be responsible. But this just means that, and like hint, like almost 100% of the time, like you will have a friendly casualty that you have to carry. And then the EPWs, you're just gonna have to quote like handcuff them. I don't think you actually have like zip ties and stuff. At TBS, you go like a little bit further and you have to do things like remove their compasses and maps and split them up by ranks, stuff like that. So we already did this. So they're just walking with them in the woods. Now, just as injured or kill people, go to the company corpsman. The first sergeant is so they're not on the thing here, but they're usually they are on a company level, like your company first sergeant, and they deal with like personnel. Okay, travel to the command operations center and report to the company first sergeant. Yep, OSIS, we're keeping it simple. In a real combat scenario, it's probably not gonna be the company first sergeant, it's probably gonna be some other designated, like specifically for EPWs. But in this event, you're just gonna take them back to, here, command operations center, and yeah, report to the company first sergeant. You can just like, you don't even have to listen to what they're saying. You can just write this. Okay, so now we did people, which was band-aids and bad guys. Let's like gray that out so we can just say that we finished that. Okay, logistics. This is like things and equipment. I'm making it super, super simple. And then once I said before, you know, one is like more friendly oriented and one is more enemy oriented. Okay. Each Marine will be stepping off with 2 full canteens, a full camelback, and 1 emery. There'll be no resupply. So do not overthink this. Throughout your time at OCS, you will always have 2 full canteens, a full camelback, those 2. And then TBS, you might have like a lot more MREs, but you know, you'll probably have like 1 MRE. And that stands for military ready eat meal, or meal ready to eat. Yeah. And then this, don't really worry about this. TBS, you have resupply, but OCS you don't. But I just put that there because that's just an example of what else could go into the logistics. But don't overthink that. Now, here's our enemy part of logistics. Each Marine will carry their M16A4 rifle and 2 magazines of 20 rounds. Ammunition can be acquired from the company gunnery sergeant. There will be no resupply. Okay, so don't worry about the resupply. We'll just gray that out. This one, also don't overthink it. To every mission, you're going to be carrying your rifle. Now, when I went, it was the M16A4. If in any chance it's something different, which it probably won't be because OCS literally uses like the oldest rifles because you don't fire 5 round only blanks, you know. But just think like, what are you carrying to defeat the enemy? You have your rifle, then you have your ammo, and we had 2 magazines, 20 rounds. But let's say you have a different weapon and it takes like 30. Like by the time you do these kind of exercises, you're gonna know your weapon inside out. And then where you can get ammunition, well, that's the company gunnery sergeant. It's the most famous rank in the Marine Corps. But just as the company corpsman deals with, you know, casualties, anything medical, first sergeant is more personnel based. Company gunnery sergeant, think of them as more like equipment, weaponry, all that stuff. So now we covered beans and bullets. So don't overthink this. Most of the time, it's almost exactly from what your higher up says. All right, so I can just delete. Actually, I'm gonna stick this up here because anyone that is gonna be writing a fire team order and then sending it to me to look over, I just want you to have that there. All right, so now, woohoo, the last section. So the last section is command and signal. Now, how much do you guys want to bet that when I copy and paste it over, the formatting is going to be absolutely lost? Oh, yes, it was. Luckily, this one has 2 different colors. Ugh, that's not the color. I want orange. All right, so I know this is like a little bit extra, but I'm actually gonna make it the same color orange. I think that's it. Yep, and then this one is gonna be, you know, have you ever heard of like the Crayola crowns? There's like red, orange, and orange, red. It's either one or the other. So this one is just gonna be a little dark. I don't really have to do this, but I'll just do, no, that's like, there. I think that looks all right. And we can just move this back up. All right, command and signal. So what is funny is that in administration and logistics, it goes administration and then logistics. But guess what? Command and signal? No, it's not like that at all. It goes signal first. Now, I'm gonna make this a little less confusing because the formatting did not get transferred over. So I'm gonna move that there. Then this, I'm gonna move in, sorry. It's gonna be moved here, and then, yeah. I really wish the formatting would transfer over exactly how I said it should, but no. Okay, so while you awkwardly watched me do that, let's get into this. All right, so to reiterate, administration and logistics. Okay, but command and signal, you're going to do signal first. So, signal is basically how you are communicating. OCS, it's very simple. We will use hand-arm signals and then voice on contact. There's this very handy acronym. It's called HAVOC. Do not say signal will be doing HAVOC. Just know that HAVOC stands for hand, arm, voice on contact. What does that mean? It means that when you are trudging through, dangerous territory, you're going to be using hand, arm signals. What is that? Basically, think of like military sign language. And you will practice this so much out there that whoever your tactics instructors are, they're gonna be a million times better than me. But just know that it's basically like military sign language. And then what does voice on contact mean? It means that like if you're approaching the objective and your enemy sees you and they start shooting at you, guess what? They've seen you. You don't have to use military sign language anymore. You need to yell as loud as you can. You've already been seen. So just signal is always going to be the same at OCS. At TBS, you'll have like radios with like different frequencies. You'll have smoke screens, different colors means different things, stuff like that. But don't worry, OCS, very basic. All right, now, just the signals first for some reason, command is second. So command, just think, this is like a deeper dive in like personnel. Now there's two sections of command: location of key leaders and succession of command. So, location of key leaders, do not overthink this. Say where you're going to be at. So, this platoon commander, because this is, let me pull it up. All right, so this is the first platoon commander. He's going to be located with third squad. Why? I just want him out of the way. So, I just didn't want, so at OSIS, when you're leading a squad operation, your platoon commander is not going to be with you. So I sent him away. Okay. But you are Corporal Savini, and now you are the first squad leader. So you have 3 fire teams, 1, 2, and 3. Just for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to say that you're with first fire team. Now, this doesn't mean that you're a part of that fire team. It just means that you are like in that vicinity. At TBS, you'll go into a more deep dive of like where ideal locations will be like within the fire team. And like newsflash, it's probably not right at the front, but we're just making this like super, super easy. I'll be located with first fire team. Now, do not overthink this. So a little bit about what people's roles are. Very rarely does like a major and your company XO go out, at least at OCS, like with you in like the nitty-gritty. It can happen like out in real combat, but like at OCS, you're not gonna be seeing these guys here or gals. So anytime it's like a company level thing, like company commander, company gunnery sergeant, company corpsman, and company first sergeant, they're usually gonna be back at the command operations center because they need to be like there for the whole company or platoon. They can't be going out in like the wilderness. But check this out. Okay, so you're a squad leader. Whoever is telling this to you is a platoon commander. Now, you usually want to brief like 2 levels up, So platoon commander, I'll pull this back up. It's in this once again. Okay, so platoon commander 1, 2. Okay, battalion commander, we'll just do company commander because the battalion commander, he's like always in some tent going over maps and stuff, and it's not, you need to know more where your company commander is. So just think of like if you're a squad leader, you're gonna think more of like on the company level. So just think like who is in like this headquarters area. Like, okay, you I know it sounds ironic, the company commander, you probably don't need to know exactly where he or she is, but company gunnery sergeant, yeah, that's where you get your ammo. Company corpsman, yep, that's where you take your injured. I think I had, hold on, I had this one twice. Yeah, so company commander, company gunner sergeant, assembly area, company corpsman, medical station, and then company first sergeant, command operations center. Now, do not get tripped up about like what these mean. They're probably all in the assembly area, but just think that like the company gunnery sergeant is giving out like ammo and stuff, and then he's leading like the military operations. So he's probably gonna be like more down in the dirt with the Marines versus like company corpsman should be as clean as possible. And then first sergeant personnel's like command operations center. But don't worry about this. Just know they're gonna be like back home. Now, succession of command, this is important because, you know, just as casualty means both injured and killed, succession of command kind of goes along with that. You know, what happens to your platoon or your unit, your squad, if something happens to you. So in the event that I become a casualty, not necessarily killed, but maybe just severely wounded, succession of command will be as follows. This is your platoon commander talking. Third squad leader, second squad leader, first squad leader. Well, if this is a platoon commander, you are a squad leader, so you're going to do fire teams. Now, the reason why I had the platoon do third squad leader, second squad leader, first, is because remember first squad was the main effort? Well, it's usually not a good idea. Like if you have your main effort, you want that leadership to like stay intact, you know? So if something happens to you, you don't want to take out the leader of your main effort. And then another reason is if you have like a main effort or any fire team that's dealing more with like fire suppression and like enemy suppression, their mission is like a little bit more deadly and they're probably a little bit more like in a hectic scenario. So you might just want to leave like that intact. So maybe pick, you know, the next squad leader to be from like, you know, your defense or humanitarian ops, you know. But we'll just keep it simple for OCS because if you say succession is first fire team leader, second fire team leader, and then third, they're not going to question you, but I feel like if you kept it out of order, they might be like, what's your reasoning? Just know that it's not like set in stone. There's going to be different reasons that my friends would know better than me, why you would pick certain leaders. But just don't overthink this. You can literally just say like, you know, if there's anyone in your platoon or squad that you have more trust in. So yeah, in the event that something happens to me, succession of command will be as followed: 1, 2, and 3. Now, when getting your order from higher, you definitely want to know, okay, which squad am I? Or like, if I'm first squad leader, am I gonna have to take over for platoon commander? But just OCS, it's like, don't over stress it. And then finally, the last one is, the time is now 9:30. Are there any questions? Well, that is your platoon commander saying this. Now, this is like, you usually have a lot more time to go over the order. But OCS, everything's gonna be cramped. So let's say that, you know, timeline. Okay, so when your platoon commander begins the order, it's 900. And then he ends it at 9:30. And then you have other things like, okay, this is when you need to complete your mission. And then you have time of attack, you know, you're departing there. So in here, up here, let's say it's such a rush job that the time is not 10:30. We might make this 10:30. But don't oversweat that. You can just look at your watch. But I am just trying to get this done before I think it's class 248 ships off for OCS. So This is not the best quality video. I'm not even wearing my hearing aids. I have like the worst hearing in the world. I can like almost never hear my voice. But I just want to get this out there. If you want to judge or be judgy, like go ahead. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. Eventually, I will try to make these better videos. Maybe like drawing on an iPad or stuff like that. But anyone that's made it this far, I can post this in like the little Google Drive I have, and then you could build fire team orders off of it. Just remember that your formation of movement is probably not going to be as detailed because your fire team's probably going to stay intact. Just the base unit is more important with like the fire team because the fire team stays together. They're not going off and doing their own thing. So I would not worry about formation of movement like oh no, sorry. Um, like the individual tasks, like don't send them off. Just say like, we are this, we're gonna stay in this is why we're doing this. And I remember us doing fire team orders and then it not being that complex. They just want everyone to hit the wickets. But yeah, I will post this on YouTube. Please watch these in the high definition. It works better if you maximize your screen. I'll put this in the Google Drive. And then if you want to write your fire team orders, definitely send those to me. And I think I might come up with a different platoon scenario so that, no, I will. It just might not be this week. It might be on Saturday. I'll come up with a different scenario and then you could write a squad order. And then I want to get people, I have 2 weeks off around Christmas. So I can do like a calendar where people can like schedule time, all that stuff, and I can go over one-on-one like how to brief and stuff, and I'll try to do that class as well. But yeah, I am so sorry for like the C plus production, but it'll be better in the future. So thank you, anyone that's made it this far. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me with any questions. My Gmail, my anonymous Gmail is belowstandardsmarine@gmail.com. And yes, that's kind of a joke. Do not get offended. All right. Take care.